There is something you don't want me to say out loud, but you know perfectly well. You are losing control. And the worst part is that you don't even realize it. It happens to you. It happens to everyone. It's a silent, addictive, progressive epidemic. It takes the form of pixels, images hiding behind the screen, impulses you think you control, but you don't. And even if you try to disguise it as entertainment, as something normal, as everyone does it deep down, you know that something inside you is changing, and not for the better. This is not moralizing. It's not religion. It's psychology. Pure and simple. And to understand it, you have to go where most don't want to look, into the unconscious, into that part of you that you don't control, but that controls everything you are. There lives what Carl Jung called the shadow, that which you hide, repress, don't even dare to recognize in front of the mirror. And believe me, pornography not only feeds that shadow, it strengthens it. It turns it into a monster that smiles while you believe you have control. And here comes the first uncomfortable truth. Every time you watch pornography, you're not just watching. You are programming your mind. You are shaping your desires. You are training your brain to seek instant gratification, to associate pleasure with passivity, with ease, with immediacy. And here's the problem. Real life doesn't work like that. Deep down, you know it. That's why you're frustrated. That's why you feel your energy slipping away, that you have less and less willpower, that it's hard for you to concentrate, that you procrastinate, that you can't look someone in the eyes without feeling you're hiding something, because you are hiding it. Do you know what Jung said? Until the unconscious becomes conscious, the subconscious will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That phrase explains it all. You think you simply lack motivation, that you have no discipline, that you are badly organized. But the root is much deeper. It's in that dark corner you visit alone, in silence, when you think no one sees you. That corner where you lose your power, where you give your soul drop by drop to an illusion, to an image that doesn't exist, to a lie designed to excite you, but also to empty you of energy, of direction, of true desire. Because when you get used to a reward that requires no effort, what's the point of fighting for something real? Why conquer someone if you can see everything from your bed? Why grow as a person if you can get high on cheap stimuli? There lies the real poison. Not in what you see, but in what you stop wanting. Pornography not only distorts your vision of sex, it distorts your vision of love, of effort, of life. It disconnects you from what matters. And do you know what's the most twisted part? It makes you believe that nothing's wrong, that there are no consequences, that you are free, but you are not free. Because every click you make, every session you repeat, reinforces neural circuits that scream, this is pleasure, this is power, this is escape. And little by little you stop choosing, because you no longer have options, only habits, automatism, conditioned reflexes. And here comes the part that hurts the most. You are not alone. There are millions just like you, millions of men and women living a double life. One they show the world, and another that consumes them inside. That feels dirty, weak, broken. That has learned to fake it, to compensate, to survive instead of live. And the worst part is that all this started with simple curiosity, an open window, an innocent image, a just for today. And today is every day. Pornography is a factory of dissociation. It separates your body from your soul, your desire from your connection, your pleasure from your presence. And in the end, you are left only with an empty reflection, with an addiction you can't even name. Carl Jung spoke of the animus and the anima. the masculine principle and the feminine principle that we all carry inside. The sacred balance between the rational and the emotional, between fire and water, between doing and feeling. But pornography breaks that balance. It drags you into the shadow, into the animal, into the primitive without consciousness. Have you noticed how after watching porn, everything turns grayer? How your energy drops, how a dull guilt invades you, how something inside you feels less alive. It's no coincidence. It's the soul screaming, asking to come back. Because yes, you can disguise it. You can pretend everything is fine. But your body knows the truth. Your mind registers it. Your unconscious archives it. And your shadow laughs. I'll tell you something you won't hear anywhere else. You don't need to quit pornography because it's wrong. You need to quit because you're losing your power. You're losing your capacity for real desire, your capacity to conquer, your intensity, your inner fire, your sharp gaze. You're exchanging dopamine for emptiness, orgasms for despair, pleasure for dependence. And the more you consume, the less you can feel. Have you asked yourself why it's hard for you to truly connect with someone? Why real sex doesn't excite you the same anymore? Why your mind fills with foreign images at the most intimate moment? Because your brain no longer responds to the human. It responds to the artificial, to the extreme, to the impossible. And that's the trap. Because the more you watch, the more you need. And the more you need, the less it fills you. Until you don't even know what you're looking for. And that's where you get lost. Jung said that individuation, the path to the true self, involved looking inward, facing your demons, integrating your shadow, becoming who you really are. But you are avoiding that journey. You are running away. You are using porn as a crutch, as a shield, as a cage disguised as freedom. And here comes the most important question of all. Who would you be without that addiction? Who would you be if you stopped doping yourself with stolen images, with bodies that aren't yours, with scenes that build nothing? Who would you be if you regained your desire, your direction, your vital energy? What could you create? Who could you love? What could you conquer? Because porn is not just an addiction, it's an escape, an exile from yourself, an abandonment. And the worst part is that the world sells it to you as normal, as healthy, as part of culture. But silently, millions of people are falling, their self-esteem destroyed, their connection broken, their soul fragmented. And do you know what's the most tragic? They call it freedom. But there is no freedom where there is no choice. And if you can't go a week without returning to that screen, you are not choosing. You are being dragged. Jung said everything that is not made conscious becomes destiny. And if you don't wake up, your destiny will be repetition, stagnation, emotional impotence. The real revolution is internal, and it starts with a brutal decision. Stop running. Look your shadow in the face. Recognize it. Integrate it. Because what is repressed does not disappear. It rots. And pornography has rotted the soul of an entire generation. You don't need anyone to tell you. You feel it. You know it. You have seen it in your eyes, in your energy, in your lack of focus, in your disconnection from what's real. But here comes the part that changes everything. You can recover. You can rebuild yourself. You can feel pure, real, human desire again. You can fall in love with the process again. You can wake up. But it won't be easy, because you will have to kill the imposter living inside you. The addict, the wounded child, the man who seeks comfort in the immediate. You will have to choose fire over anesthesia, presence over escape, life over the simulation, and it will be painful, because you will see yourself for the first time without masks, without distractions, without fantasies. But it will be real, and the real hurts, yes. But it also transforms. You are not broken. You are asleep. And porn is the perfect sedative to keep you there. In mediocrity, in almost, in inertia, in the shadow. But there is another option. You can wake up. You can look at your shadow and say, "You no longer dominate me." You can become what Jung called the self, the total, unified, free being. Not perfect, but whole. Not pure, but complete. Human. And that starts today. It's not a moral battle. It's a battle for your soul, for your desire, for your vital energy, for your capacity to love, to create, to lead, to exist with meaning. Porn is only the symptom. The true enemy is emptiness. And you, if you are listening to this, you are already closer to getting out of it. Don't get distracted. Don't deceive yourself. Don't numb yourself. Because if you don't wake up, no one will do it for you. And if you don't wake up now, when? Remember this. Every click you don't make is a victory. Every impulse you resist is a sign of strength. Every shadow you face makes you more complete, more you, more real. And the real is the only thing worth it. And here comes another dimension that almost no one dares to touch. Because it's unseen, it can't be measured, but it's felt. It's invisible, but constant. Sexual energy. That vital fuel that has nothing to do with casual sex, nor porn, nor accumulating stimuli. Sexual energy is creative power. It's fire in its purest form. It's the raw material with which empires are built, books are written, lives are conquered. And when you waste that energy on digital fantasies, you're throwing it down a bottomless pit. It doesn't come back. It doesn't transform. It simply disappears. Have you noticed that on the days you fall into pornography, something inside you turns off? Your voice sounds weaker. Your decisions lose firmness. Your gaze doesn't have the same presence. It's no coincidence. It's your vital force draining. And the scariest part? You get used to it. You start living at half power, operating on a quarter battery, believing it's normal. But it's not normal. Normal would be waking up hungry for the world, feeling that magnetism that people connected to their desire, their purpose, their essence have. Normal would be having ideas that burn, being obsessed with goals, feeling the pulse of the universe beating inside you. But you can't feel any of that if you give your energy to something that gives you nothing back. Because that's porn, an absorption machine that leaves you poorer every time you visit it. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about willpower, spirit, inner fire. Jung said that what we don't face inside ourselves, we will find as destiny outside. And if you don't face this disconnection, this constant surrender of your vital energy to empty images, you will end up surrounded by empty relationships, empty jobs, routines that don't fulfill you, decisions that don't represent you. And the worst part is you'll believe life is like that. Gray, boring, soulless. But it's not life, it's you. It's you operating with such a low level of energy that you can't even desire intensely. Do you realize the gravity? You have lost the capacity to desire deeply. Not to desire bodies. You do that daily with the screen. I'm talking about desiring like the child who wanted to conquer the world. Like the artist who dreams of his masterpiece. Like the warrior burning to prove his strength. That kind of desire. That sacred fire. Pornography has replaced it with a simulation. A firework that shines for a few seconds and disappears, but it makes you forget how real fire burns. And so you become a spectator of your own life. You observe, consume, turn pages, but you don't write any. And here comes something even darker. Because pornography doesn't just affect how you live, it affects how you see others. It changes your perception of the other. It objectifies, It reduces, it fragments, it turns people into parts, into instruments, into stimuli. You stop seeing souls and start seeing functions. And that is dehumanization. Have you noticed how your image of intimacy gets distorted? You stop associating it with connection, with surrender, with synchronicity, and you associate it with domination, with consumption, with performance. Porn doesn't just steal your real desire, it also poisons the model of what it means to be with another human being. It turns it into a transaction, into choreography, into something executed, not felt. And that has a price, because one day, without realizing it, you will be in front of someone real. Someone who looks at you, who breathes, who feels, and you won't know what to do, because you've learned to interact with screens, not people. You have trained your emotional response to digital stimuli, not to the tenderness of a body trembling under your hands, not to the vulnerability of a slow kiss, not to shared silence. You have unlearned how to feel, and when you don't know how to feel, you can't love. And when you can't love, you're doomed to repeat empty, fleeting bonds broken before they even start. Porn gives you an idea of pleasure, but it tears away the possibility of building something meaningful, because quick kills depth, easy destroys what's valuable, immediate wipes out the transcendent. And there's more. Porn doesn't just change how you see sex, it changes how you see power, domination, control, imposition. It introduces a subtle but constant narrative that the other is there to serve you, that what matters is your satisfaction, that what counts is your experience, and that transfers to your relationships, to your work, to your way of seeing the world. The ego inflates, but the soul empties. And without realizing it, you start living disconnected, isolated inside yourself, surrounded by people, but alone. Carl Jung wouldn't have seen pornography as a simple behavior. He would have seen it as a symbol, a collective symptom, a reflection of a society that has lost contact with its center, that no longer knows how to integrate its instinctive energy, that fears desire because it doesn't know how to channel it. Porn culture is no accident. It's a mirror of our inability to look inward, to build real bonds, to hold the tension of desire without having to resolve it in 5 minutes. Because desire is not a problem. It's a compass. It tells you where your soul is going. But when you prostitute it for immediate pleasure, when you reduce it to a meaningless bodily function, you lose orientation. You get lost. You turn off. And now listen carefully, because this is important. Recovering from all this is not about repression. Repression is another form of disconnection. It's about transformation, about redirecting, about sublimation. That word, sublimation, is key. It's what Jung called internal alchemy, turning desire into creative impulse, raising sexual energy toward art, toward action, toward purpose. The great geniuses of history knew this. They transformed their fire into ideas, into works, into revolutions. They didn't waste it on screens. You can do it too. You can take all that impulse you now spend on fantasies and direct it toward something real, toward your body, toward your project, toward your path. You can desire strongly again, but desire something that builds, not destroys you. And yes, it will be uncomfortable, because you will have to face anxiety, withdrawal, the loneliness you had covered up with stimuli. But that discomfort is the door. It's the threshold. It's where transformation happens. Because you are not broken, you are unfocused. And pornography is the noise that keeps you from hearing yourself. But when you turn off that noise, the soul begins to speak. And what it tells you can change everything. You don't have to settle for living on autopilot. You don't have to remain disconnected. You don't have to resign yourself to empty relationships, weak motivations, a half-driven life. You can regain control. You can reconnect with your fire. You can come back to yourself. But first, you have to stop running away, because while you run, you will remain a slave to your shadows. But when you decide to stop, to look straight and walk toward your own abyss, that's where freedom begins. And that freedom is priceless, so do it. Do it for you. Not out of shame, not out of guilt. Do it because you deserve more, because you deserve to love intensely, to feel truly, to live with purpose, because your energy is worth too much to give it away for emptiness. Because if you're here, listening to this, it's because a part of you is already ready. The part that remembers who you were before you numbed yourself. The part that wants to come back. And if you've made it this far, there is something inside you that hasn't died. Maybe you had forgotten it. Maybe you had buried it under tons of noise, empty images, routines that don't represent you. But it's still there. Beating. Silent, but stubborn. It's not a loud voice, it's a whisper, one that says, "I'm still here. You can still be you." And now, right now, at this exact moment, you have two paths ahead. The first is the easiest. Close this video, go back to the screen, open another tab and pretend this didn't stir anything. Pretend everything is fine, that none of this was about you, that there is no war happening inside you. The other path is the fucked up one. The one that demands you look at yourself. Dig deep. Recognize the parts of you you've avoided. The path that forces you to rebuild without anesthesia, to feel the vertigo of moving forward without crutches, to endure the fire that cleanses. That path is not comfortable, but it's the only one worth it. And here's the strangest part of all this. You don't need to understand everything to start. You don't need a perfect plan. You only have to choose. Once, decide to stop being a slave to impulse. Once, decide your energy is yours, that you won't give it away anymore, that you will learn to transform it, that you will turn your addiction into power, that you will own yourself, even if it hurts, even if it takes time, even if you fall 1,000 times. And here's the brutal truth. You will fall, but that doesn't matter, because it's not about not falling. It's about falling knowing who you are and getting up closer to yourself, with more clarity, with more truth, with more strength. And yes, the world will keep pushing you toward distraction. The algorithm will keep offering you escapes. Social media, screens, the whole system wants you to stay asleep. Because an awake man doesn't consume the same, doesn't settle the same, doesn't obey the same. An awake man makes people uncomfortable. So make them uncomfortable. Be that anomaly in the matrix. The one who says no when everyone else gives in. The one who transforms desire into something indestructible. The one who doesn't need cheap dopamine because he's reignited the real fire. The one who has reconciled with his shadow, and because of that, no longer hides. And listen to this. You are not alone. Even if you feel isolated, even if no one around you understands, even if it seems no one sees what you're trying to do, there are others like you. Men and women silently breaking chains, stopping the escape, reclaiming their energy and presence. They don't make noise, but they're there, walking with you in this invisible battle. And you are already part of that. So here is the closing, the final word. Rebirth. That is the key. Not improvement, not being a little better, not quitting porn. Rebirth. Dying to the false and being born again. From inside, from the deep, from the wild and the human. And if this has resonated with you, if you have felt even a second of truth in all this, I ask something very simple. Comment the word rebirth below, without context, without explanation. Just that. Those who know will know. It's our way of recognizing each other among those who are waking up. And if you want more content like this, subscribe. But not for the algorithm, not out of habit. Subscribe if you're willing to break inside to rebuild yourself more real, stronger, freer. We don't come here to entertain. We come to ignite consciences, to unearth sleeping souls, to remind you that the fire is still in you. And now, yes, I say goodbye. But not with a "see you next time." I leave you with a question that, if you answer honestly, can change your life. What would you do tomorrow if you recovered all the power you've lost in the shadows? Answer it and choose, because the next time the impulse pushes you toward the screen, remember this: it's not pleasure you seek, it's to feel alive again. See you in the silence of those who are waking up.